Have you ever wondered what truly happens after we die? What if the reality that awaits us is not as comforting as most religions promise, but something far more complex, hidden, and ancient? Imagine a realm where invisible forces watch over every soul, measuring, observing, and perhaps even controlling its destiny. Could it be that what we were taught about heaven, hell, or judgment is only part of the story, carefully shaped to obscure a deeper, more mysterious truth? Many have lived and died without ever questioning these unseen powers. Unaware that their very existence might be influenced by entities the Gnostics called the Archons guardians, or rulers that manipulate the soul's journey. Some scholars believe these forces are not simply myth or metaphor. Hans Jonas, a renowned philosopher and Gnostic scholar, argued that the Archons are waiting for souls after death, determining the course of each spirit in ways humanity has largely ignored. This isn't a tale of fear or superstition. It is a warning and revelation, a secret preserved in the texts that the Church and traditional teachings quietly buried. The idea that our souls could be intercepted, observed, or even trapped by these hidden rulers challenges everything we think we know about life, death, and destiny. Think about your own life. How often have you felt trapped in patterns, drawn toward decisions, or fears you couldn't fully explain? Could these influences extend beyond the material world, following us even after death? The Gnostics believed that understanding these forces is not just theoretical, it is a key to liberation. By learning how the Archons operate, the soul might navigate its path more wisely, avoiding judgment that is hidden from ordinary understanding. Throughout this video, we will uncover what Hans Jonas revealed about these mysterious custodians of the afterlife. You'll see historical evidence, ancient texts, and esoteric insights that point to a judgment far different from what we were taught. We will explore the symbols, the secrets, and the manipulations that define the unseen world. Prepare to question long-held beliefs and consider what it truly means to pass from this life into the next. If you are ready to challenge the familiar narratives of heaven and hell, and to uncover the hidden truths that have been quietly preserved for centuries, subscribe to the channel and join our community of seekers. Together, we will reveal what has been hidden, piece by piece, and illuminate a path that few dare to see. What do you think awaits the soul after death? Leave your thoughts in the comments as we begin this journey. For millennia, the mysteries of the soul and its journey after death have been carefully guarded, hidden beneath layers of tradition, doctrine, and authority. The common narrative of a benevolent afterlife, where souls are rewarded or punished according to simple moral codes, may be only a fraction of the truth. According to the Gnostics, the universe is not a neutral stage where souls pass freely, but a carefully controlled realm where unseen rulers, the Archons, monitor and influence every step. These beings are not allegories. In the Gnostic texts, they are real entities, guardians of the material and astral order, shaping the fate of every spirit. Hans Jonas, interpreting these ancient teachings, suggests that these powers are not malevolent in the way popular horror tales describe, but they are restrictive. They create boundaries, traps, and illusions, keeping the soul entangled in cycles it cannot easily escape. Historical evidence for this hidden system is scattered, subtle, yet persistent. The Nag Hammadi Library, discovered in 1945 in Egypt, contains texts that describe the Archons as rulers of the heavens, their authority enforced by complex hierarchies and celestial laws. These writings, deliberately omitted or suppressed by orthodox religious institutions, reveal a vision of the afterlife that is intricate, regulated, and in many ways judicial. The Apocryphon of John, one of the central Gnostic works, outlines how souls encounter these rulers after death, facing trials that are far from the simple moral judgment most are taught. Some scholars believe that this knowledge was intentionally hidden to prevent humanity from understanding its true spiritual potential, to maintain control through ignorance. It is crucial to understand that the Archons are not merely external threats, they are intimately tied to the structure of human consciousness. According to Jonas, their influence begins while we are alive, shaping our thoughts, desires, and decisions. The same forces that govern our mortal experience are those that continue to guide, test, or constrain us after death. Gnostic teachings suggest that the soul must navigate these forces with awareness and gnosis, a knowledge that frees it from manipulation. Without this understanding, the journey of the soul may be diverted, restricted, or trapped within patterns designed by these invisible rulers. Consider the texts. The hypostasis of the Archons portrays a cosmos where souls, after death, confront these entities who evaluate and determine the appropriate fate, not simply based on virtue, but on alignment with divine knowledge. Each Archon serves a function, a gatekeeper to higher realms, creating thresholds that few can pass without insight or preparation. The Church, by controlling the narrative of sin, salvation, and judgment, obscured these deeper teachings. The problem, therefore, is not only the existence of these rulers, but the centuries-long concealment of the knowledge necessary to navigate them. Humanity has been left in darkness, told comforting stories, while the mechanisms of spiritual judgment remained hidden. Jonas emphasizes that this concealment is not accidental. The power structures of history, from ancient empires to organized religions, have often manipulated spiritual knowledge for control. By keeping the workings of the Archon secret, they ensured that humans remained unaware of the subtle constraints governing their destiny. The problem, as revealed through careful study, is a dual one: the existence of these hidden rulers and the deliberate suppression of the knowledge required to evade their restrictive judgments. The journey toward liberation, therefore, is a path of discovery, awakening, and courage, demanding that we question what we have been taught and seek truths that have been buried for centuries. As we move forward, ask yourself, what if everything you believed about the afterlife is only part of a larger, hidden structure? How much of your spiritual understanding has been shaped by narratives designed to obscure these forces? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you feel that life and death are governed by unseen rulers? Your reflections will become part of the discussion as we uncover these hidden judgments and the secrets the Archons have long kept from humanity. To understand what happens after death, we must first grasp the symbols and concepts that the Gnostics used to describe the unseen world. The term Archon comes from the Greek word for ruler, but it is not a ruler in the earthly sense. These entities govern the layers of the cosmos, acting as gatekeepers between the material world and the higher spiritual realms. Some texts describe them as planetary rulers, others as forces that monitor the soul's moral and spiritual alignment. The Gnostics saw the Archons as necessary, but restrictive. They maintain order, yet they also trap the soul in illusions, keeping it from discovering its true divine origin. Jonas interprets them not merely as mythological figures, but as real forces that structure the universe, influencing both life and death. Another crucial concept is gnosis, the knowledge that liberates the soul. Unlike information or learning, gnosis is an inner awareness, a deep understanding of the spiritual nature of reality. The Gnostics believed that only through gnosis could the soul navigate the domains of the Archons. Without it, a spirit may wander, repeating cycles, or be judged unfairly according to rules that are invisible to the human mind. Some scholars argue that ancient teachings were structured precisely to cultivate this knowledge, but the Church, seeking to maintain control, simplified and sanitized these lessons, leaving ordinary believers unaware of the Archon's true influence. The Demiurge, another pivotal figure in Gnostic cosmology, also plays a role in the soul's post-mortem journey. Often misunderstood as an evil god, the Demiurge is more accurately a blind or limited creator, responsible for the material world, but unaware of the higher divine realms. According to Gnostic texts, the Archons act under the Demiurge's authority, enforcing a system that keeps souls tethered to the material plane. This is why life can feel constrained, repetitive, or dominated by forces we cannot see. The Archons shape our experiences to align with the Demiurge's imperfect order. Understanding this hierarchy reveals that death is not a simple passage, but a continuation of these cosmic structures. Symbols in the texts carry layers of meaning. For example, the heavenly spheres represent not only physical planets, but also levels of consciousness the soul must traverse. The number and position of Archons, often described as 7 or 12, correspond to stages of judgment or thresholds a soul encounters. When a soul passes from life to death, it confronts these rulers who assess, guide, or restrict its movement, depending on its knowledge, awareness, and alignment with divine truth. The Gnostics used these symbols to map a spiritual journey that is intricate and deliberate, revealing that death is not random, but structured and purposeful, albeit hidden from ordinary perception. Hans Jonas emphasizes that modern readers must approach these teachings as revelations, not as allegories or myths. The Archons are not there to terrify, but to challenge. Their presence compels the soul to awaken, to gain insight, and to seek liberation. Without this understanding, the soul remains vulnerable, subjected to judgments and limits imposed by these invisible rulers. By recognizing their role, we begin to see life and death as part of a continuum, where knowledge, awareness, and spiritual preparation are vital for freedom. Consider this. If the Archons truly influence the soul's post-mortem journey, how much of your own life is already shaped by their presence? Are your decisions, fears, or patterns entirely your own, or have unseen forces subtly guided them? Leave your reflections in the comments. Do you feel the world contains these hidden rulers, shaping destiny in ways we rarely perceive? Your thoughts help illuminate this mystery as we continue to uncover the hidden judgment of souls. For centuries, the knowledge of the Archons and the deeper truths of the soul's journey after death was deliberately concealed. This concealment was not accidental. It was a strategic effort by religious authorities and political powers to maintain control over human belief, behavior, and destiny. The early Gnostic texts, preserved in places like the Nag Hammadi Library, reveal a vision of the afterlife that diverged sharply from the narratives promoted by the emerging Orthodox Church. In these writings, the Church is not depicted as a neutral guide, but as an institution that simplified, censored, and reframed spiritual teachings to make them easier to accept, stripping away the complex and unsettling realities of cosmic judgment. Some scholars suggest that this was done to prevent ordinary people from accessing gnosis, the Zine Fowler's knowledge necessary to navigate the Archons' realms, thus keeping humanity spiritually dependent and obedient. The process of distortion was subtle yet systematic. Gnostic texts describe how the Demiurge and his Archons create illusions and false narratives that confuse the soul. In human history, these illusions were mirrored in the way sacred texts were edited, doctrines were codified, and stories of salvation were told. By presenting heaven and hell as simple moral rewards or punishments, the Church obscured the layered and complex cosmic order. The Gnostics warned that these teachings were partial at best, meant to comfort and control rather than to empower or enlighten. The Archons, by virtue of their position, were able to influence not only the afterlife, but also the information that reached humanity, creating a system in which the deeper truths remained hidden from those unprepared to see them. Historical evidence supports this concealment. The Nag Hammadi texts, discovered only in the mid-20th century, had been buried for centuries, hidden away perhaps to protect them from destruction by Orthodox authorities. These writings contain precise instructions and symbolic maps that describe the soul's passage through the Archons' domains, including warnings about deception, false thresholds, and traps designed to mislead unprepared spirits. By contrast, the canonical scriptures emphasized moral compliance and faith in a singular path, never fully disclosing the existence of these invisible rulers. Some scholars, including Hans Jonas, argue that the suppression of this knowledge was less about eradicating heresy and more about maintaining a controlled narrative that kept the masses spiritually dependent and ignorant of the soul's true potential. The distortion of truth extended beyond mere texts. Rituals, prayers, and religious practices were often modified to align with this simplified vision of salvation, steering souls toward conventional paths while concealing the guidance necessary to confront the Archons directly. The Church's structure, hierarchy, and authority mirrored the cosmic hierarchy described in Gnostic texts, creating a reflection of the Archons' order within human institutions. In this way, ordinary believers were taught to accept intermediaries as arbiters of their spiritual fate, never questioning the deeper forces at play. The result was a dual concealment. The Archons' influence over the soul remained hidden, and humanity's access to Gnosis, the key to liberation, was obstructed. Understanding this distortion is crucial because it reframes everything we think we know about life, death, and spiritual judgment. The Archons were not waiting passively. They were actively engaged in shaping human perception, decisions, and ultimately, the post-mortem journey of every soul. By obscuring the truth, powerful institutions ensured that most people would enter the afterlife unprepared, facing judgment and trials without insight into the hidden forces they would encounter. This is not a message meant to incite fear, but a call to awareness. The truth exists, but only those who seek it, who question the simplified narratives, and who cultivate Gnosis, can navigate beyond the control of these invisible rulers. Now, pause for a moment and reflect. If centuries of spiritual guidance were structured to conceal rather than reveal, what might you be missing in your own understanding of life, death, and destiny? Are your beliefs shaped by comfort and tradition, or have you sought the hidden truths that could illuminate the path of your soul? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your reflections are part of uncovering this ancient secret, and they help build a community of seekers ready to confront the hidden judgment of souls. The moment of revelation lies not in fear or obedience, but in understanding. The Gnostics, and later thinkers like Jonas, emphasize that the soul's encounter with the Archons is not merely a trial imposed externally, but a mirror reflecting the level of inner knowledge, awareness, and readiness a person has cultivated during life. Hidden in the texts is a profound truth. The Archons can only influence and judge those who remain unaware of their true divine origin. This means that liberation from their control is not a matter of luck, moral perfection, or ritual compliance, but of awakening of Gnosis, the inner realization of who we truly are beyond the material illusions. For centuries, this understanding was deliberately hidden, as the Church and other power structures feared that humanity equipped with such knowledge could no longer be easily controlled. The turning point in this cosmic narrative is the rediscovery of these forgotten teachings. The Apocryphon of John, the Hypostasis of the Archons, and other Gnostic writings describe the process by which the soul can recognize and navigate the Archons' realms. Symbols, metaphors, and precise instructions are embedded in these texts to guide the initiate. The Archons' power relies on ignorance. They intercept, delay, and mislead the unprepared. But when a soul gains insight, when it understands its divine spark and recognizes the illusions of the material and astral planes, the judgment transforms from a restrictive force into a threshold for liberation. This is the revelation that changes everything. Death is not the end, but a continuation of the journey, and the apparent trials of the Archons are actually opportunities for awakening and transcendence. Jonas interpreted these ideas through a philosophical lens, showing that the Gnostic view is both ethical and practical. It is ethical because it places responsibility for spiritual liberation on the individual, emphasizing knowledge and discernment over blind faith. It is practical because it provides a roadmap for navigating forces beyond ordinary perception. Jonas argued that understanding the Archons' role after death is not meant to terrify, but to illuminate, teaching us that the unseen world is structured, consistent, and navigable if we cultivate awareness. Those who study these teachings, even superficially, begin to see patterns in life that previously seemed chaotic. Recurring obstacles, inexplicable fears, or sudden opportunities are no longer random, but reflections of the soul's interaction with higher and lower realms. This revelation has implications for how we live now. If the Archon's judgment after death depends on knowledge and awareness, then cultivating gnosis in life becomes a form of preparation for liberation. Every decision, reflection, and pursuit of understanding strengthens the soul's ability to navigate the unseen world. The Gnostics described this preparation as a kind of spiritual training, meditation, study, ethical discernment, and recognition of illusions all contribute to a soul that can pass through the Archon's domains without fear or entrapment. The teachings encourage self-inquiry. Are you living in awareness of your divine essence, or are you bound by the illusions imposed by these invisible rulers? Reflect for a moment. What if your choices today directly influence the soul's journey after death? Could the obstacles, patterns, and repetitive struggles you face be echoes of these hidden forces testing your awareness? Understanding this revelation shifts the narrative entirely. The Archons are not simply judges, but mirrors, reflecting the depth of our insight, discernment, and readiness. This is the turning point, the moment where fear transforms into empowerment, where hidden judgment becomes a path toward liberation. As you consider this, leave a comment with your own reflections. How do you feel about the idea that unseen forces might shape your destiny after death? Have you noticed patterns in your life that could hint at these influences? Your words help illuminate this ancient truth, forming a dialogue among those who seek to awaken beyond the hidden judgment of the Archons. The teachings of the Archons are not relics of a distant past. They have direct relevance to the life you're living right now. Hans Jonas and the Gnostic texts reveal that the unseen rulers are not only waiting for souls. After death, they are already influencing our thoughts, decisions, and patterns in the present. Every fear you experience, every temptation that lures you away from your highest purpose, and every repetition of mistakes can be seen as the subtle touch of these forces. Their goal is not necessarily to punish, but to maintain control over the soul through ignorance, distraction, and confusion. Awareness becomes the key to liberation, and the moment you begin to recognize these influences, you take the first step toward freedom. Consider your daily life. The cycles of anxiety, indecision, or recurring struggles might not be mere coincidence. The Gnostics suggested that these patterns are hints from the Archons, testing whether the soul is awake enough to perceive its true nature. By reflecting on these influences, questioning the motives behind your choices, and seeking deeper understanding, you begin to pierce the veil of illusion. Some scholars believe that the Archons operate like mirrors, revealing the gaps in our awareness, showing where knowledge and gnosis are lacking. In practical terms, this means that spiritual insight is not abstract. It directly shapes your resilience, clarity, and ability to make choices aligned with your higher self. The liberation of the soul is not reserved for a few enlightened mystics. It is accessible to anyone willing to awaken. The Gnostics taught that through study, reflection, and inner discernment, the soul can navigate the Archon's domains successfully. Imagine approaching each day with the awareness that unseen forces are at play, yet you hold the key to move beyond their constraints. Life becomes a training ground for freedom. Every moment of attention, every insight gained, strengthens the soul's capacity to rise above the cycles imposed by these rulers. In this way, knowledge is empowerment, and understanding the Archon's role becomes a practical guide for living with clarity, courage, and purpose. Reflective moments arise when we consider the magnitude of this hidden structure. The Archons are not distant myths. They are intimately connected to your consciousness, your awareness, and your choices. This insight compels deep introspection. Are your fears, habits, or attachments truly your own? Or are they echoes of these invisible influences? The Gnostics warned that awakening requires honesty, courage, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. But it also offers a profound gift, the realization that you are not powerless, that liberation is possible, and that the journey of the soul is a path of discovery rather than mere submission to fate. Think about it. If your actions, thoughts, and spiritual readiness determine how you interact with these hidden rulers after death, then each decision you make carries significance far beyond the immediate moment. By cultivating awareness, by seeking knowledge, and by observing the patterns in your life, you prepare the soul for the encounters that await in the afterlife. The Archons' influence is both a challenge and an invitation to challenge, to see through illusions and an invitation to awaken fully. The very act of contemplating their role is a step toward liberation. Now, pause for a moment and engage with this truth. Take a moment to write a prayer or reflection in the comments, a short affirmation of your intention to awaken, to seek gnosis, and to prepare your soul for the hidden judgment. By sharing, you participate in a living dialogue with seekers around the world, reinforcing the practice of awareness and connecting to the collective journey toward freedom. Even a single line, a whispered intention, is an act of resistance against ignorance and an acknowledgement of the hidden truths long obscured by history. What will you write to affirm your readiness to face the unseen forces and claim your liberation? As we reach the culmination of this journey, it becomes clear that the story of the Archons is not merely about fear or punishment, but about awakening, understanding, and the hidden structures that shape every soul's destiny. Jonas and the Gnostic texts reveal that after death, the Archons are waiting not to destroy, but to confront, to measure the depth of awareness, and to challenge the unprepared. Yet this hidden judgment is not something fixed or arbitrary. It is a reflection of the soul's readiness, its knowledge, and its insight into the true nature of reality. The more we awaken in life, the more equipped we are to navigate the thresholds that these unseen rulers maintain. Knowledge becomes the path to freedom, awareness becomes the shield, and gnosis becomes the light that guides us through the realms that have long been concealed from ordinary perception. The implications are profound for how we live today. Every thought, every choice, every moment of attention matters, for they shape not only our present existence, but also the unseen journey that follows. The Archons' influence is subtle, woven into the fabric of daily life, yet entirely perceptible to those who seek to see. Recognizing this influence transforms fear into empowerment. It turns the unknown into a guide, illuminating the path of liberation and revealing the truth that has been hidden for centuries. It is a call to awaken, to question, to reflect deeply on the forces that surround us, and to cultivate the knowledge that allows the soul to move freely through the afterlife's thresholds. By participating in this exploration, by reflecting, commenting, and sharing your insights, you are not merely observers of hidden truths. You become part of a living community of seekers. Your engagement preserves these revelations, keeping them alive against centuries of suppression and distortion. Each comment, each shared reflection, strengthens the collective awareness, connecting seekers who are daring enough to confront the hidden rulers and explore the depths of the soul's journey. Like the Gnostics before us, we are called to uncover what has been buried, to question what has been simplified, and to embrace the profound responsibility that comes with understanding. So take a moment now. Leave a comment describing your reflections, your thoughts, or even a personal intention to awaken and cultivate gnosis. Like and subscribe to join this community of seekers who refuse to accept half-truths, who are committed to uncovering hidden realities, and who are willing to navigate the unseen forces that shape our destiny. In doing so, you honor the ancient teachings, you affirm the value of knowledge, and you participate in the living journey of the soul. And yet, even as we close this chapter, the questions remain. How prepared is your soul for what lies beyond? Are you aware of the forces that guide your thoughts and choices every day? Will you seek gnosis, the inner knowledge that transforms judgment into liberation? The path does not end here. It begins anew as you continue your journey into the hidden truths of existence, the realms of the Archons, and the liberation that awaits the awakened soul.